Hi all. Well, we just released version 2.015 earlier this week from InspectX, and there's quite a few changes. You'll see a lot of it here on our release notes page. But I wanted to create this video just to cover some of those things practically so that you can see what this means to you and what new features you may be able to take benefit of here. I'm going to save some of the best ones for last, so stick around for the whole video. Let's jump right in. First thing we changed, small change, but still pretty critical when you're out in the field, is we adjusted some of the colors in sunlight readable mode here. The yellows were a little too close to the greens, so now they've got a bit more of a separation in color to make that a little bit more clearly discernible out in the field. Another important thing is we separated the filters between button mode and outline mode. So as you see here in button mode, there's currently no filter, but when I go into outline mode, I can have a filter selected. So by separating the outline mode from button mode allows me to keep a filter in this mode and none in the other, which I think is quite useful. Another awesome feature here is we've managed to remember the position of the page where you are in outline mode. So if I scroll down here where you can see bridge arrangements right at the top of my screen, and I were to go back into button mode to continue making some changes or viewing or working in other areas, and then wanted to continue my review, as soon as I go back to outline mode, bridge arrangement remains at the top of the page, so it remembers wherever you are as you're scrolling and working your way through. Another cool feature in this outline mode is images can now be dragged and dropped within that heading. We've just increased the space, the contact area for where images can be dragged. So if I drag this image over here, if I hover anywhere over the white text for that entry, you'll see the heading is highlighted, meaning it's going to be added to that specific heading. So the contact area for that has just been increased. So if I were to let it go, I can now add that image directly to that heading much more easily here in outline mode. I'll delete that again just by hitting delete. Another great tool here, I'll go out of this into button mode, is we have made some changes to project data. Some of you may just never use certain headings in here, like amended date may be an example. And if you never ever have or never intend to use it, we wanted to make it so that you could make these things just disappear. So from your configuration manager, manage configurations, you can click on now any button here inside project data and set this entry to be hidden. And when you do so, it'll be grayed out here in your configuration mode, but back in outline or button mode, it will just no longer appear at all. All right, we'll get to the fun ones here. Let's jump into images. So we'll go into our attachments manager. And we've made some changes to the symbols, shapes, and numbers. In particular, you can save defaults to these shapes and numbers now. So previously, when you selected a shape, you would always then change the size or orientation to suit your preference. When you right-click on it, we've added a new button now that allows you to save your default settings for future access. So I've made some changes to my pointed arrow, and I can make it always appear red and at a specific angle just by setting that as my default. And to change those things, I just move the rotation whichever position I prefer and say save that as my default from now on. And every time I reselect that shape, it'll be pointed and already in that position. That same thing can be done for numbers, so you can change the size and coloring of your number, your defaults for your numbers, and also for symbols, which is really useful. If some symbols you want them to appear larger or smaller, always by default. One thing I don't think we've covered properly yet is about how you can really take advantage of these default settings when you add your own custom symbols in. So I have a custom symbol that I've saved here that I've just downloaded off the internet that I want to start using as an overlay for my images. So when I go into my libraries here, I want to save this as a part of my symbols list. So I just drag it into my symbols. It's just a little funny shape that we've saved here, and we decide we want to now have this always available in my symbols list. And when I go back into my project, I can go and choose any image that I want to call out. And now when I search my list of symbols, that new one I've added is down there at the bottom. And I can add it in here. And obviously it's a bit too small. So here we can take advantage of that sizing, make it a appropriate size that I think that's going to be my default from now on. And anytime I want to, I can just drag, hit that symbol, and simply just put it in the position. Easy as that. One more thing that we've covered in images. I'll cancel out of this. Let's go take a look at our photos. In some cases, when you add a lot of photos into one section, maybe in the photo summary at the end, if you had to reorder these images, it can be a little tricky in a film strip, right? You can drag and scroll this film strip, but if you had a lot of moving around, we've created a new button up here called Reorder. And what that does is it now changes your film strip into a grid. So it makes it easier to grab a particular thumbnail and just reorder, replace them around in whatever place you feel that you prefer that to be ordered. And to get out of this mode, you can either just click reorder again or just click on any image and we'll go back to our regular editing mode. That's it for images. And the last thing we'll cover is a change that we've made to the text editor. So we'll click onto any heading here. And let's cover some changes to this text editor. In particular, we have added a new button here at the top for ordered and unordered lists. So let's say if you created a list of findings, you can highlight that list and simply click this to choose the type of ordered list you'd want this to be in. And it'll automatically order that list for you. You can still format the list items, but you would do them one at a time if you needed to have formatting. If you wanted to remove the list or remove a specific list, again, you just click it, remove that list item, and you can continue typing. If you had a lot of formatting to do to all of your list items, then it may be worth highlighting them, performing those actions first, and then putting them into an ordered list to retain that formatting. And hopefully you find some good uses for these additional tools that we've added to InspectX. Please let us know which ones you found most useful, and we look forward to catching you and helping you on the next one.